Hello again, friends. It's me, Miss Christina. I'm here again to join you and share a story with you today. So today I want to talk about counting and numbers. So before we begin with our story, it's a wintry, snowy story about a little penguin called Pipkin, we'll check the book. I think his name is Pipkin. Let's try counting together. So I want to ask you to look around your room or the place you are and see if there are 10 or 20 things that you could gather together or count where they are. So maybe you have some blocks nearby, maybe you have some books nearby, maybe you see flowers, you're sitting outside and you see lots of flowers growing in your grass. I have little yellow flowers growing in my grass right now because the grass is getting a little long. So look around and maybe use the help of your grown-up to find some things that you can count. Let's see. Have you found something? It could just be 5 things or it could be 20 or 30 things. You decide, depending on what you have, and I'm gonna listen to you count them. So before we read, let's do a little counting. Here we go. Are you counting? Go ahead and count. Yeah. Are you almost done? All right, friend. I hope that you finished counting. That was great. Thanks for trying that with me. I love counting to big numbers when I can, and sometimes I use help of my friends, so you can always use the help of your mom or dad or brother or sister too. It's a fun thing to try. See how many things you can find. So now let's begin with our story. Today I chose a story that talks about counting and numbers, big numbers and little numbers. It's called How Big is a Million? How Big is a Million by Anna Milbourne and Serena Riglietti. And at the end of the story, there's a surprise, something really big that we get to look at. Okay, so let's get started. How big is a million? Pipkin was a very small penguin who was always asking very big questions. How wide is the sea? How high is the sky? Is the moon made of cheese? But the thing he wanted to know most of all was, how big is a million? He went to ask his mama, but she was busy catching his breakfast. It's important to have a full tummy when you're asking such big questions. Pipkin counted the fish his mama had caught and found that there were 10. Shall we count them? You've just been counting. Now I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is a big number of fish for breakfast, he said. But if 10 is this big, how big is a million? A million's much more fish than you could ever eat, said Mama. A million's much, much more than 10. Pipkin thought about this for a while. He tried to imagine much, much more than 10. It's no good, he said at last. I'll have to go and find a million to know for sure how big it is. Good luck, called his mama as she watched him go. Bye, Pipkin. Bye, Pipkin. Bye, Mama. Pipkin walked a little way and found a crowd of penguins. They were huddled in a circle, keeping warm. That's a lot of penguins, thought Pipkin. There are much, much more than 10. Excuse me, he called. How many of you are there? said the one in the middle, "and I'm the warmest of all." "A hundred's a very big number," said Pipkin. "If 100's this big, how big is 1,000,000? "A million's much, much bigger than 100, the middle penguin said. "But 100 is enough to keep you toasty warm. Would you like to join us?" "No, thank you," said Pipkin. "I have to find 1,000,000. He set off again through the deep, white snow. After a while, his feet got tired of walking. So he slid on his tummy down a steep hill. He bumped into a seal cub who was doing much the same thing. Then ever so quietly, it began to snow. "That's a lot of snowflakes," Pipkin whispered. "There are more than 100 and much more than 10. Do you think this is 1,000,000? There are big ones and little ones. Do you see them? Wow." "No," said the seal cub, "but I'm sure there are 1,000. And there really were. 1,000 is a really big number, said Pipkin. If 1,000's this big, how big is 1,000,000? The seal cub wrinkled his nose. Well, he said, 1,000,000's much, much bigger than 1,000. Let's look one more time. Oh, there are so many. 1,000. Do you see them? So many. Pipkin and the seal cub built a snow penguin and a snow seal cub and threw far too many snowballs to count. Then Pipkin said, I really have to go find my 1,000,000. Good luck, said the seal cub. Bye, seal cub. Pipkin walked and walked and walked and walked all around the South Pole and back home again. His toes were cold and he was sleepy all over, and he hadn't found 1,000,000 of anything at all. There he goes back home. Pipkin was a very, very disappointed penguin. He said to his mama, I found 10 yummy fish, 100 warm penguins, 1,000 pretty snowflakes, and a brand new friend, but I couldn't find 1,000,000, however hard I tried. Mama gave him a big, warm hug. Come outside, she said. I've got something to show you. Here's your 1,000,000, little Pip. You can make a wish on every single one. And this little sign says, this way to see Pipkin's 1,000,000. Here's our surprise. Open the envelope to see what Pipkin saw. Should we do it? Okay, here we go. I'm going to open the envelope and there's something inside. Pulling it out. Okay, let's see. It's a page. It's a big folded page. It's getting bigger. It's big, big, big. It's big, big, big. Oops, I'm unfolding it the wrong way. This is bigger than me. This is hard to see. It's very big, but I'll show you what it looks like close up. What are those? Let's see what I can find. Here's Pipkin and his mama. What are they looking at? Can you tell what they're looking at? In this picture, it's a big, big picture. There's one that you can tell what it is. Do you see all those stars? On this page, there are actually 1,000,000 dots that are stars. It's so big. It's so many. Wow. If you counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, you would have to keep going up past 100 and past 1,000 and past 10,000 and past 100,000. You would keep going. It would take a long time to count all the way to 1,000,000 stars. And that's the end of our story, friends. Thanks for sharing this time with me, reading How Big is a Million, and maybe you can go try counting something new today. See you next time. Bye.